Here are 5 things all beginner DJs should aim to avoid when starting their journey. When starting out, most DJs will be aware that we have EQ controls. On most controllers there will be 3, a low, mid and high. How to use these controls varies depending on the tracks that you're mixing, the styles of music you're mixing and the transition you want to create. And it will change every single time. However, there is one hard and fast rule that I would say nearly every DJ needs to abide by when mixing between tracks. This rule is to not let both low EQs be up and clashing at the same time. We want to blend between one and the other. Let's have a listen. When mixing, if we bring the tracks in with all the EQs fully up, what happens is the mids and the highs might sound okay. But the low EQs, because it's the most powerful part of the music, the bass, will start to complicate the mix. It starts to swallow all of the sounds and it just sounds a bit too intense. Especially when you amplify this on a large set of speakers, say in a club, it can just really muddy the mix up and not sound great. If we take another listen and balance it, either having one low EQ in or the other, you'll hear it cleans the mix up so much. So I'll leave it with both in to start with and then we'll swap them over and you can hear the difference. Both EQs, one EQ, the other EQ. It fully cleans the mix up and sounds much nicer. When getting started as a DJ, you have to think about the levels of your music. Something you may have come across is people saying, do not redline your music. What does redline mean? Well, we have visual meters on DJ controllers or on DJ softwares where you may have a few different colors. For example here, green, orange or yellow, and then red. The red is a warning. The red line is saying that if you leave it here, it's going to damage the sound of the music, the quality of the music, and it's basically pushing the volume too loud for your equipment to output or to play. It isn't going to make it louder and louder, it's just going to get loud and then distort. So please try and stay out of the reds. Now how to do this is to use either your trim controls or if you're seeing the reds on your master, bring the master level down a bit, which is your main volume control. If you're in the middle of a track and you're seeing this, just take the trim control at the top down. Please be aware that if you start applying effects to a track, it may boost the level of that channel. So you want to leave a bit of room so that when you apply the effects, it doesn't slam into the reds and sit there. If you touch the reds every now and again, that's okay because it's just a warning. It's just when you sit there and you see the red light consistently, that is telling you to take the level down. And this can be done, like I said, with the trim or the gain control at the top. And this can help you balance the two tracks together as well. Another big no-no is having vocals clash while mixing. What this means is you would have vocals from two different tracks playing at the same time. Now, the human ear can't focus on one or the other, so it can just sound a total mess, and it's something you should really try and avoid when learning to DJ. Let's have a listen to how that would sound. So even if we go for a perfect mix and we're blending the tracks together and they sound great, what can happen is we could get the vocal of one song come in at the same time as the vocal of another, or you could already have a vocal there while the next vocal's introduced. This is where you really want to learn your music and be aware of where the vocals start and stop in your music, so you can section the track and mix and blend between those points so that they don't clash. Have a listen. So this we really want to avoid. You can do things like set loops, which may be a bit more advanced at this stage, but setting loops can extend instrumental sections of the song, which is a really useful tool available on most DJ equipment. Or you can try and make sure your phrasing works well and know your tracks well, which we're going to talk about in the next tip. As a DJ, you will need to know a bit of music theory. It doesn't need to take you to the extent of being able to play a piano or an instrument, but you need to understand how music is built, structured and produced. And these terms that we need to learn are things called beats, bars and phrases. The phrases of the music are like sentences in the music, and it's a common theme that runs throughout. Now, if you don't get your phrasing right, or you press play out of time so the bars don't line up, then you get this obscure mix where something changes on one side and then a few seconds later it might change on the other side, and it doesn't work in harmony with each other. So let's have a listen to an example of this. Imagine I'm getting ready to catch the drop and I'm thinking, yep, I'm ready to go. Oh, and that was hard. I missed it. Let's go now instead. That sounds good. I caught it. I'm on beat in my headphones. Let's mix it in. I'm mixing. Everything's going well. But you hear changes in the music happen at different times. So have a listen. We're about to get a change. In 4, 3, 2, 1, change. And then change on that side. And again, we've got the vocals clashing. So the phrasing didn't line up there. Let's have a listen to what happens when the phrasing is right. Let's go towards the end of the song. 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So we caught the drop on phrase that time because it was a change in the music and that was the start of a new phrase. Now when we mix between the two tracks, it can sound much cleaner. Listen to the change. And they both change at the same time. This provides a perfect opportunity to add or take away your faders as well. 4, 3, 2, 1. And it creates a much more seamless mix. So understanding the structure of music from your beats to your bars and your phrases is essential. It's something we cover extensively in our beginner DJ courses, as well as loads more entry-level techniques that you can really get to grips with so you don't make some of these mistakes and you become a solid DJ from the ground up. Lastly, try not to overuse the effects in your equipment. Nearly all DJ software and equipment nowadays comes bundled with loads of different effects in there, and it can be very tempting when just starting out to think, I can press this button and it makes the track sound cooler and I'm having fun because I'm actually using my equipment. And it's one of the first things people reach for when starting out as a DJ. For example, if we've got a track playing, we could be adding filters, we might be adding pad effects, we could add channel effects. There's so many effects to choose from. But what really happens here is we're just taking away and detracting from the music if we overdo it. The effects are there to add to the set and to add bits of energy here and there and amongst. But if we leave effects on for a long time, if we apply a huge level to the effects when we're using it over the music, it can just take away from your set and the music and detract from what's actually going on and your mixes. So don't not use effects, but just use them wisely and sparingly. There are times and places where certain effects can work well and certain effects can't. There are times and places where effects are actually a really good thing to use when they're done in the right way. Again, something we cover a lot in our intermediate DJ courses. We go through all the different effects and show you exactly where to use them and how to use them properly to create an effective mix and to use them effectively when you're blending between tracks. Some of these mistakes are really easy to avoid, and I hope you can start avoiding them straight away in your practice sessions. Others might take a bit of practice, and you might have to learn some other ways of going about mixing your music or your approach to learning to DJ. If you feel like learning online is for you, then we do have a bunch of online DJ courses which avoid you from picking up bad habits, such as ones in this video and many more. If not, I would say keep practicing. Make sure you don't do any of those mistakes in your DJ sets, and just really work on understanding the music, understanding how it's structured, listening to lots of music so you know what happens when, and then just practice really basic blends and mixes to start with. Don't overdo any effects, don't try do too much, don't try and use all the performance features, just keep it simple to start with and then build up the foundations from there. If you want to learn more, then just click the link to look inside one of our beginner DJ courses. You can get a feel for the course and learn some more tips and tricks in there too. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video sometime soon.